Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the September 21st Airport Commission meeting. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Cameron Buchanan,
Here.
Steve Smith,
Here.
Jim Muller, Greg Collier,
Here.
Joel Gardner, Mike Thomason, Jason McMullen,
Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes from last month? Any questions?
I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes for last month.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Now's our opportunity to have comments from the audience. If there's anyone that would like to bring something to the commission's attention, now's your opportunity. All right. Update from Summit.
All right, good afternoon. Good to see you. Let's see. Okay, so just real quick, looking at the numbers that I sent to Beth last week, I did have a typo. It says June. That is July's numbers. I just didn't change the name of the month. But those are the correct numbers. So you see Jet A was up 7% from 38,816 gallons to 41,872. So that was a nice little bump. Again, like I mentioned last month, we kind of had those ups and downs between 2 and 10%, sometimes 13, 14. And then again, you can kind of see that with the 100 low lead sales being down 22%. I was actually surprised whenever I ran the numbers. It didn't seem like we had that much of a difference month to month, but that's in fact what it was, because we've been busy. There's a lot of stuff happening at the airport. All this good weather, especially the cooler weather, a lot more light aircraft traffic coming in and out. And then, of course, the normal business traffic in and out. Any questions over fuel or any operations?
What did football game do for us? Anything?
Not too much. We had a few of our regulars that come in. And again, these are guys that are really regional. Little Rock, Conway, Searcy, and Benton. Those are really where we're seeing our normal people come in. They know Fayetteville, they know Springdale and Bentonville, and what the perks of each are, and luckily they prefer us, they prefer our service. Our usability is a big thing. Getting in and out of Fayetteville, going north instead of south into the airport is a lot easier for a lot of those guys. So they prefer that. They know the pilots are well taken care of. One of them's a college friend of mine, and he comes over to the house whenever his passengers are at the game. So that's a lot of fun. So good reputations there. Working on that, developing those reputations, and those relationships, I've made contact with a gentleman who is starting a new app called FBO Props. And what that is it's an app that pilots can use a lot like ForeFlight whenever they're kind of looking at where they want to go. It's more of a recreational minded application where they look at the different FBOs. They can kind of see different events that are going on, user ratings for those FBOs, perks that they might have. So I can put events up, specials, like on game day I do free GPUs and free laugh carts and things like that. So I can post it there. Working with him to try and start to really pinpoint where a lot of the traffic originates from. So say if we're playing Auburn here, then I can possibly, we're trying to find a way to kind of approach them with ads like really specific to the region they're flying from, so that those pilots that are typically going into Fayetteville might see on FBO Props, Summit Aviation will pop up and they'll say, oh, I wonder what they've got. I wonder if we can get a better deal for the owners or something like that. That's the idea. So working on that relationship, he's a great guy, a really interesting app so far. So say all that to say, actively working on trying to get a lot of the people who typically fly into Fayetteville, try and get them moved up, try and cater to the little things that they like and appreciate. And so putting a lot of effort into that. Any other questions?
We've got a couple of new guys. Can you tell them about the specials maybe that we do?
Yeah, so typically what we do for the last few years for our our game days, home games, we will offer incentives to anybody flying in. Doesn't matter if it's a small plane or a large plane. Small planes, it's really hard to kind of cater to them with discounts because all they really take is a little bit of avgas and then they're good to go. But with the larger planes, the jets that are coming in, there's a lot of perks. Of course, we don't have any landing fees or rent fees, so there's nothing there. They like that. But on top of that, free ground power units, which is normally a $100 charge, when it's available, they love that. They can get the aircraft cooled down. We've also have an AC cart. If I don't have a GPU available, I can plumb cold air directly into the cabin, and in the summer day, really appreciate that. That means a lot to a lot of those guys. Lab service. Lab service is one of those things that, I mean, the prices range wildly from FBO to FBO. We do $75 for ours. There's others that $150 for somebody to touch your lab, and it's a hazardous material. You got to be very careful with it. And so they're used to seeing these prices, but they see us and say, "Oh man, I'm coming. I'm not going." If they're stopping at one airport to pick somebody up and then coming to another, I say, "I'll just get a lab at Springdale because they'll do it for free, and I'm getting fuel anyway, so they'll like that." I'm like, well, perfect. Kind of help them out in a couple different ways. So made a lot of use of that. So if I press those discounts, or not those discounts, those perks a little bit harder, I'd probably get a few more people in. So more effort, more traffic, more operations.
I got another, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask if there's any other questions.
Yeah, how, we've started this new restaurant. Have you seen any reaction? What's your thoughts?
Yes, and I'm sure Cameron has some thoughts as well. So, from my perspective and all my employees' perspective, we are having a great time with this restaurant. One thing that is specifically different about this gentleman who's up there now is the energy of the customers going into the restaurant and, of course, leaving. For example, today, about an hour before I came here, Jennifer, my CSR up front, was directing somebody who was looking for the restaurant. She said, up the stairs with the elevator, and she just happened, just as he was going, she said, "It's really good." And he said, "I know, I'm really excited. I saw the pictures online. I can't wait." And so I was super happy to hear that. And that idea and that mindset's been reflected through a lot of these people. They've got a great customer base to begin with, a lot of loyal customers. They've been coming in. The quality of the food is top notch. My guys are eating up all there all the time. I've had a few meals up there. And I'm a sucker for chips and salsa, and so I've spent a lot of money on chips and salsa in the last couple weeks. So I'm gonna have to stop, but it's so good. A great atmosphere up there. They're very welcoming. A lot of the pilots that are hanging out that have eaten lunch up there have had good things to say. Not a single negative thing. So really satisfied with that. My next point, and actually Jason already knows about this. Jason and I, and Cameron as well, we're in the process of planning another open house at the airport. So in the spring, we had our open house, very well received. The biggest downside was there was a little bit of weather in the afternoon, so we had to cut it short earlier, and it was the same day as a Hog-Eye Marathon, which caused a lot of problems. And I had a few people tell me that they waited in line for a long time in traffic just to get to the airport so they could be at the event. Trying to mitigate all those issues, making sure there's nothing else happening. And looking at November 4th for the next open house. We're not calling it a fly-in. We're going to invite people to fly in. We're going to invite as many aircraft as we can, but more focusing on general public, getting them to the airport, getting them aware of what's happening at the airport. We've got all these neighborhoods around us, and a lot of these people don't really even understand what's happening, but getting them introduced to like the amount of business that happens, the good that happens from what's able to happen at the airport from day to day, getting vendors out there, firemen, firefighters, police department. The big thing for us this year is that we're playing with the idea of doing an entrance fee. All of the money from people coming in is going to go to Compassion NWA. We want to be able to give back to the community. And so the entrance fee is $5 per person, and this is an idea, $5 per person, $10 per family, doesn't matter how big. Or if you bring a toy, any toys donated is going to Toys for Tots for the police department. So no matter what, everything is going to get dispersed back into the community. People will be able to come in and enjoy the different vendors, the different services that are offered. We're going to try and focus on aviation professions, maintenance, avionics if we can, drone. Try and have some of those guys out there for demonstrations. Try and work with Drone Up to get them out there. And then just whatever else we can. We're trying to expand a little bit on what we did earlier this year. It was so well received. I think we've got a great platform to build on, and really do it up nice for Springdale. But other than that, that's all I've got.
I like the idea of what you guys are talking about, definitely. My fear in charging is you're going to hinder someone from coming or keep someone from coming. But if you just offer up for maybe a donation, a cash donation or a gift, a toy, as you're talking about.
That's a very good suggestion. I did want to be open-ended with it, and I do want your feedback. So if you ever have any ideas over the next month that we're working, please call me, because I want to do what Springdale wants to do. So that's a great idea. I did play with the idea of if somebody comes up, didn't realize there was an entrance fee, they are more than welcome, absolutely. But just case by case sort of situation. I want to be as giving as possible.
And we, of course, need to coordinate that with the restaurant as well and make sure
Yes.
they're open
Yeah.
and available.
Yeah, getting with Manny, because I don't want, I don't, and this is where I'd like a little bit of your feedback. I don't really want food trucks or vendors are out there. Like, it would look nice to be a lot of different food, but I'd really like anybody who wants to eat. We've got a perfect place upstairs. I don't really want to mess that up. And so I think it'd be a great opportunity for him. I know he's busy already, but I think he would probably be pretty interested in it, but I have not yet talked to him about that.
Yeah, I would lean that direction myself. Don't bring in food trucks, send everything that we can to him.
Right, I agree, yeah.
Do you
Perfect.
think Manny still has a food truck?
Yes, he does. I think,
Maybe that's an option.
Yeah.
Where he could have both locations where people could buy his food outside and inside.
that's a good point. I'd have to ask him what his preference would be if he'd have, because that could exponentially increase his workload. And then
Staff load as well.
the staff.
He might already be booked too. He told me he's booked through the end of November with his food truck
Oh,
on
yeah.
weekends.
And
So
it's-
he'd have to see if that's an open date or
Yeah,
not too.
November 4th, so, yeah. I'll get with him, and then I can let you guys know in October. The final plans, by that point, we'll have final plans, we'll just be waiting for the day to show up. But yeah. Again, if you guys have any other ideas for what we can do, what you would like to see from the Airport Commission's standpoint, please let me know so I can have those thoughts active in my mind as we plan. And then we'll keep on moving forward.
I apologize for walking out on you
You
there
know
as soon
everything
as
I
you
said.
mentioned my name. Unfortunately, I think my family is the victim of an insurance fraud scam, so
Oh.
that's why I had to step out, so I apologize for doing so.
Congratulations.
But, but just to kind of chime in on, we've had a lot of success in the spring with the open house and house, in just a short amount of time, we were able to get a lot of community resources together and a lot of people that were able to come out, had a lot of fun. One of the things that we ran into, though, is a lot of people were like, man, I would have gone if I'd only known about it. And so, we were able to contact our school contacts for Springdale, but unfortunately, it only went as far as the teacher level. It didn't go down to the student and parent level. We weren't able to push it out for privacy reasons and things like that. And so a lot of people, I probably had, I guarantee you, over 50 to 100 people after the fact said if we would have just known about it sooner, we would have loved to have been a part of that. So we know there's a groundswell of interest, and with the other airports and of course, other school districts in the area doing aviation curriculum and other aviation-related events at their schools, we know that something like this in our community would have a greater amount of interest and a greater draw, especially as we make this a regular event. And working with Daniel and Cameron, we hope to make it twice a year, once in the spring and once in the fall. So any advice that you can give us, or anybody that you would like to reach out to, or Bill at the Chamber of Commerce, or Mayor Sprouse, or anybody like that, we would love to make this a big community event and make this something that lasts for a long time here.
I'd echo Greg's thought on the donation charge or whatever. A lot of times you'll get people that'll donate and some guy will put in $20 when you're asking for $5. And sometimes I've found that in a lot of cases, you end up getting more money by just making sure and making it very prevalent that this is for donation and what the cause is for.
Okay.
And you may end up getting more money than you would if you just charged $5 or $10.
Okay, well, that's good to know. And yeah, I'm perfectly happy to do something like that, especially if it's, more whatever they want to do, generosity of the individual rather than me saying it is $5 or something like that. And yeah, I think that's perfectly fine. So,
You just
thank
have to have the cause, and they have to have something, a
Yes.
reason to give, so.
Yeah, it's making sure it's clear exactly what's going to be happening with any funds or any donations. Yeah, absolutely. Great. Well, that's
Anything
all.
else for Daniel? Thank you, Daniel.
Thanks for your time.
Ernest is not here. He didn't have anything to present today. So Laura, with the operations report, please.
So we did get that grant for $150,000, which we talked about last month, I believe, and so those radios are on order, and what I heard the other day is it'll be the end of October or early November for delivery on those. And then Tom will get here and get those installed, so we're anxious because the FAA is wondering about them. But that's all we can do on that.
Laura, were those held up or?
Just supply chain, I imagine. I don't know, he didn't really say why, he just told me that was the date that he was told, so. I think also last month, Ernest, we had to remove a tenant from one of our hangars. And so that they've moved out and they took all their belongings out, and now we've got that turned over and we've got a new tenant in that hangar. So that was good. And then his hangar's been rented and their hangar's been rented, so. Let's see what else. Oh, and the restaurant, yeah, he's doing great. It's fun to sit down there now and see people streaming upstairs and coming down happy. And I haven't heard one bad complaint either, and the food's good, so.
My
He's
question
just-
is reversed on that. What's his take? Is he enjoying it? Is he-
Yes, he's on Facebook. He has a Facebook page and he's on it all the time. And he said, I commented on how fun that is to watch the people again going up there. And he said, I love my job again. So yeah, he wanted out of that food truck. And just special events is what he's using now. Until November, he said he's booked. He said he's been getting calls for next year already. And he's delaying answering because he's not sure he wants to do that. I think he really likes the brick and mortar more now, and it's their own place. And the whole family up there, they're just great people, and it's been fun watching them work up there.
So you're saying a restaurant actually can make it?
I
there?
think so. I mean, he did his soft opening on Thursday and Friday 2 weeks ago. And then on Facebook, he posted they'd be open Saturday, and he said they were slammed. He said they were busy from when they opened almost to when they closed. So, I mean, that's just on Facebook. Once he figures out better social media, how to get his name out there a bit more and stuff, I don't think we're going to stop him. He's trying to push breakfast because he's never done breakfast before. There's not very many Mexican restaurants open at breakfast time. So he's trying to figure out what to do or how to get people to come in. So that's his next little project, because he's got lunch whipped pretty good. But he's been staying open later than he's expected to. So I think Friday he was there maybe till 7.
Oh,
This
really?
past Friday, last week. And she said people were coming in up until about 6 o'clock last week, Friday.
That's super. As a commission, we need to do due diligence as well and spread the word to all of our contacts and friends and let them know what we've got there and take advantage of that.
Yeah, and I've gone through too and asked the people that I know personally that have been in there, will you go back? That's usually the biggest question. And I know Cameron's got a bunch of his people go like every day.
Yeah, we've
So
also mentioned it on our social media from our company and tagged them. And there's been a food influencer that's been up there already that's prevalent here in Northwest Arkansas, got 18,000 followers. So it's getting a lot of traction.
I think that's about all I have. Do you have anything else?
Any questions for Laura? Thank you, Laura. James, activity report, please.
Oh, sorry, James. One more thing. Luckily, I wrote it down or I would have forgot. Our PAPI's we finally got the final circuit boards in for that, and Greg's trying to get us a flight check with the FAA scheduled, but we don't know when that's going to be yet, so. But that's it for our lights. We finally got everything back after the whole extension project and the lightning storm and all that stuff. And tornado and everything. We got it, finally got all the lights back up and running. We just gotta get them pappies turned on. So we're good to go on that.
I don't know if any of you drove down Emma, but they're about done with that retention pond down there, so they've got it seeded and strawed. I think the only thing they got about left is fencing it off, so that's looking nice. The water department, we've been meeting with them, they've got a sewer lining project that they're gonna have to do under the runway. And so what it sounds like is they're gonna be outside of our active area, setting up over on the other side of the new taxi lane. So we may end up blocking that off for one day while they're running the liner under the runway. But they're gonna have to do a pump around, they're gonna run that under the bridge of the runway, so that won't be in the way. So they're, had a pre-con yesterday with Laura, or today, this morning. So that's on the schedule, so if you see a box man sitting out there, it's a contractor working for the Springdale Water Department.
And that's obviously something that needs done. It's not in disrepair, but it definitely needs repaired. So this will be a good thing for us.
They're lining for it. And on our operations, like Daniel said, Mike in the tower, when he sent it over, he said this is the second busiest report he's seen since he's been keeping recordings. So he's loving the operations. That's all I have.
Good news, the stuff we like to hear right there.
Yep.
Rolling into Greg Garver.
Awesome. We'll see if this, there we go. I don't have a very large report for you all today. I'll just go through my list of the three projects that we've got going on. The Taxway B Extension Project, Laura kind of already hit on this one. The Pappies did get the missing parts or the repair parts that they needed, and now I'm just working to get a flight check scheduled. I'm hoping it'll be probably the end of October when we get that scheduled. They're generally 3 to 4 weeks out. And I was able to finally get a hold of them this morning to start that process. Any questions about Taxway B? Okay. Second project is just the East Hangar construction. This one has been done for a while now. With the construction side of things, I'm just waiting for some final documentation from the contractor before we can close it out and get the grant closed out and reimbursement. And so I'm calling them about once a week to try to get them the information I need. But any questions on the East Hangar?
What exactly are we waiting on there?
So it's actually to do with Springdale Water Utilities. There's a maintenance bond that they require, as well as, I believe, an affidavit that they just need to sign. Yeah, pretty much. And then the Powell Hangar reconstruction project. I don't have a large update on this one today. If you remembered, last month we had talked about going for an additional grant with the state to get some extra funding for the utility, or for part of the utility relocations or utility extensions and the access road construction. However, I found out that the September meeting of the ADA, the Department of Aeronautics, was canceled. And so they postponed it to October. And so we're hoping we can get on their agenda for October. And hopefully I can come back for the October meeting and give you guys a good update that the grant was awarded. So no movement on the Powell Hangar project. However, I did get a schedule for construction from the contractor. Based on their workload right now, they're looking at January before they were planning on starting. So this won't hold up the construction window that they were looking at. So any questions about the Powell Hangar project?
So are they on the agenda for January to start? Is that the plan? Is it black and white?
It's not quite yet. So we need to get the approval from the ADA for our grant. After we get grant approval, I'll get the construction contract signed. And then after we get the construction contract signed, I can get them to give me a formal schedule for construction. Right now, their draft schedule has them starting in January. And that assumes we meet those deadlines that I just talked about.
But there's no concern with the contract that we have in getting it started and completed?
No, sir. Awesome. That was the three projects that I need to give an update on. Are there any other general questions for me? Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. All right. Any old business we need to discuss? Anyone have? Comments from commissioners? Thanks, everyone, for coming today. We are adjourned.